Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Attack of Opportunity. We've promised you a brand new show with a new format. Well, you know what? We've been busy. Okay? I haven't had time. There's a lot going on in the world today, people. You're just going to have to stick with the classic, yes, no, I'm a nerd, they're a geek, learn about their video games, all kinds of neat stuff. But you know what's been working so far? It hasn't been a bad show. So, digging deep into the knapsack of what we've already done, Adam from the Southern Tom Foolery Podcast was one of our recent guests in the last year. He was an awesome guest, and now we have captured two of his cast members, Mr. Josh Richards and Emily Summerlin from the Southern Tom Foolery Podcast, which is a Starfinder podcast, and it's on its way to be a network, and there's going to be more podcasts, but we're going to let them talk to you about that. Josh and Emily, thank you so much for unmuting and being on the show today.
Jeff, thanks for having us, man. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. So good to be here.
So the first question, because we're going with the old format still, so sorry. Let's start with ladies first. How did you first know you were geek, a nerd, one of us, Emily?
Oh man. So I've been a weirdo kind of all of my life, but the actual geekdom came into when my little brother and I got, I think a lot of people say this, an N64, and then Zelda took over my life, and it was just a beautiful dark tunnel that just kept on going after that. So yeah. Yeah, Ocarina of Time was my gateway drug to the nerddom. So yeah.
That's so awesome on so many levels, because my head just filled when like my daughter's 5 and my wife and I got a 64 and I bought GoldenEye and she bought Ocarina, and it was like, well, we're playing first, and she just looks at me like, okay, honey, you can play your game. You know?
How's that
You can
even a
play
question?
James Bond.
Six days later, my buddies are like, can we come over and play Bond? I'm like, no, I haven't played it. They're like, you haven't played all the way through it? Because that's the thing. Guy buys a shooter, conquers it in 24 hours, and then goes online. It's like, I haven't touched it. It's still in the wrapper. They're like, why? You know, I'm like, oh, my wife's playing Zelda still. They're like, oh,
That's
a
answer enough right there. That's a
like,
good
yeah,
reason.
I'm like,
So.
yeah, well, they all played Zelda too, so they're like, oh, okay, no respect. I'm like, okay, guys, I'll call you. You know, fast forward like a year, and I had 2 TVs, 2 64s, 8 drunken bastards in my living room, and we were like shooting our way up to the elite couch and drinking our way down to the loser couch, which didn't really have a lot of changeover. They were just like 2 guys, me that was kind of okay, that could jump into the elite and get killed and go back to the, you know, everybody else was like, we had 3 good guys and 3 guys that were just like, you know, that kind of thing, smashing keys. So, Josh, top that. Emmy's off to a fireball start here. What do we got for you?
So I've been playing and dealing and working with computers for as long as I can, honestly, as long as I can remember. You know, parents bought us an NES when I was 5, maybe 4 or 5. So started out the original Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and then when my dad bought a computer, he bought and installed MechWarrior 2. And I played that like religiously. I absolutely love the MechWarrior series. And, you know, that led into reading the BattleTech books. And I still have yet to actually play the BattleTech board game or tabletop game, I guess. But like that kind of led into, you know, I mean, you're dealing with like Americanized mechs, which led into anime like Gundam, which led into, you know, it was kind of a snowball type effect. And, you know, video games, computers, music, like I'm 100% purebred nerd.
It's okay, Mr. Richards. It sounds like a beautiful ride.
It's been fantastic, honestly.
So, since you guys have sort of are out of the gate blaming video games, yeah, you could blame them for a couple of things as a gateway drug. When did you guys get into the tabletop aspect with actual dice, the board game aspect, Emily?
So I was what they might refer to as a late bloomer. And my first ever experience with anything TTRPG was with Josh and majority of the STF crew. I had been trying to play some Dungeons and Dragons for off and on a few years, and I finally managed to talk Josh into trying to like like, hey, let me play with your group. It's cool. I'll be cool. I'm cool. So I lied to them and got them to let me play.
Yeah. No, so a little bit of context. So this is well before we started recording anything.
Yes, this was God, what, 3
years ago,
something like that. I'm
we'll call it
with
3
numbers. Three's splitting the difference. Yeah. But yeah. So, and even then, it wasn't in person. It was all online because we were spread out across the state. So my first, tabletop wasn't necessarily a physical tabletop. So
it was Tomb of Annihilation from 5e, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is honestly not the best game to bring a newbie in on. It's like, this whole adventure path is about killing your character intentionally.
But you stuck with it. Good for you.
Yeah.
Found new friends, played with them now. Kept Josh, right? And then no. So what about you, Josh? What was your leap into the world of dice that were not just based on Yahtzee?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my first time I played Risk was no. I played.
Stop right there. We played a game called Axis and Allies.
Oh boy, I have yet to play that. I want to, but I'm kind of scared.
Oh, it's not crazy complicated like Hearts of Iron and all those ones with like octagonal tiles that have tiny numbers, and it takes you 4 days. It is a crazy 4 to 10 hour game, but it's it's just prettier than Risk because you have little tanks and little but it's basic blow too much money on army, move some of it into a square. Somebody doesn't like that. Yahtzee dice beat the crap out of you, much less army, but hey, you get 2 whole points a round to turn into money, even though you spent 40,000, it's advanced Risk, but it's World War II, so
yeah.
Sorry.
But no, in all seriousness though, I've wanted to play since high school. Friend of mine had a couple of rule books and even had the D20 Modern, like an alternate rule book or splat book, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which looked really cool, but we couldn't get a group together to actually play. And the first game that I played was one that Adam ran. Was doing Lost Mine of Phandelver, I believe. I think that's what it's called. It's been 4 years ago, I think. So I guess as far as tabletop games, late bloomer-ish as well. But we started and then just haven't stopped since. It has been like since the first day that we've played it or started that campaign, we've had at least one game a week consistently.
Yeah.
Like they're aside from holidays and occasionally somebody's sick, but there's been, I mean, maybe 4 or 5 weeks out of a year for the past 3 years that we've been playing and haven't stopped with the same group. It's absolutely unreal.
No, that's great.
It's a good problem to have, I think.
It's a fantastic problem to have.
No, that's heartwarming because you guys sound like you've gotten into this within the last decade, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But did you have any older experiences or I know you said late bloomer and everything, but was there any other mischance, that type of thing? I get lots of stories about like, my brother used to play, but I wasn't allowed to, or, I'd go to the store and I would buy trading cards for Magic the Gathering and they'd be playing this game, all those plus size guys over 40 that dominate from their mom's basement are now here. And, there's one guy at the end of the table, he's really animated and, that any of those near miss, no?
Well, so I won't speak for Josh necessarily, but no, I definitely won't speak for Josh. But I came up in the Bible Belt of the south of Mississippi, and I grew up in a very rural community. So we didn't really have access to a lot of like game shops and stuff. And
I'm sorry, did you just say cruel munity?
Like the community was very cruel. Can we just like cut that out and call it that?
I invent words all the time. I mutilate the English language, and can I have that? I'll take it.
Absolutely. It's not trademarked yet. You can totally use it.
I'm sorry. Please continue. That just really killed me.
I have that effect on people. Sorry. But so essentially, I did not have the opportunity to miss, unfortunately. I mean, I didn't even know Magic the Gathering was a thing until I was well into high school. So But yeah, I don't know if that I just kind of never was around the opportunity.
But you're
Yeah, I had.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
but
had
making up for it.
Yeah. Josh, sorry.
No, it's no problem. I had friends that were played Magic the Gathering, and I'd play with them with their decks, but my parents, and being in a being in the Bible Belt, it was the whole traditional classic, even though it was in the, I guess, the 90s or so, the classic satanic panic type thing.
It's still a thing.
To the point that there was a point that my mom didn't want me playing games that had magic in them at all. And I got around that by saying, well, Mom, you've been showing me Disney movies since I was like 4, or as long as I can remember.
Got him.
All of them had magic. And she's just like, you know what, fine, you win.
Because Walt Disney is the most non-racist, inclusive,
he's totes on the level.
generous businessman. That sorry, something that just came across my desk the other day. I want to bring something up on the side here. Sometimes we get talking about tech, and Yeti was the plug and play go-to. I bought one, didn't like it. It was too sensitive. And you guys are the first 2 people that sound very professional with your Yetis. So have you found like a secret setting? Like I like they're
gain.
Low gain.
Okay.
So mine's, speaking of that, mine's actually broken. I have to have mine all the way up on the gain, and then the window sensitivity down, or there's like some sort of electric squealing, like interference type. But I found out that NVIDIA released something that I just think is absolutely insane. It's their RTX voice that does on the fly AI voice processing that like does noise suppression. Like, I've got my AC running in the background. I'm actually going to test this, and sorry people listening, but as I'm talking, can you guys hear me touching my mic?
No,
that's creepy.
No. My wife found this and showed it to me, because my wife and son like tech stuff, and she was showing me, going, honey, look, you could use this. And I'm like, this is great, but my computers probably won't run it. And the guy doing it had kids playing, screaming, and a vacuum.
Was it a Linus video, probably?
Yes, that's right. Linus Tech. My son and my wife watches all that stuff, and it's really something. So there you go. You heard from Josh Richards, the man himself. If you get your hands on this RTS processing software, I think the glitch, though, is it only works on a certain card, or
it works on the 10 series and the 20 series NVIDIA cards.
If you can't tell, Josh is our resident tech head.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Well, we'll have questions for him later, because I got to say, a lot of we've been complimented that our audio quality, not out of the gate when we first started Star Wars with Xbox headsets, but we very rapidly tried to raise the bar as quickly as we can and try to understand affordable but versatile equipment. Like, my guys rock Audio-Technica 2100s, and they are a plug-and-play mic, but they also take the XLR cable for phantom power,
Okay.
We found what's called a Pad 50 or Pad 5 mini little mixing board that each guy has that really, you can do a lot with treble and bass, and it really amplifies the voice with not a lot of hiss, so there's not a lot of post-editing problems, right? I've gone on to, then you get into dropping serious money, like the $250 Yamaha 4 mic mixer I got sitting in front of me here, so the guys could come over and we could play together within 6 feet of each other. Yeah, that's not ever going to happen.
Maybe someday in the post-Rona.
The guys are hermits. They're like, what? I pitched them. Come home from work tired Friday. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to go out. You don't want to see your friends, but you could play in your jammies. Just put on a stock shirt and play from camera up, and we do, and it sold them. And now I can't get them out of their homes or their chairs.
And that was the last.
I saw them.
First mistake.
Exactly.
So, Emily, when is our Curse of Strahd game, whenever it goes back to happening, when is that going digital only, so I don't have to leave my house and just wear boxers?
No, sorry, I'm not doing that. That is my excuse to clean my house and have people over and be a real human being. So it's not going to go digital.
Never gonna happen, Josh. Never gonna happen.
Get over it.
No, that's a game that Emily's GMing for me and a couple of local friends, and we actually play in person. It's not recorded, not associated with Southern Tom Foolery in any fashion.
Okay.
But
just goofing off. playing
Yeah,
with
it's
vampires.
I mean, that's our Friday nights typically.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like I know for as far as podcasting goes, the Curse of Strahd has been done to death. And I mentioned like the first edition with the first, penthouse sort of fold out map for a DM, which is drawn three-dimensionally that still oogle over today, and then all there were novels and stuff that I read, and then I went to Pathfinder after 3.5. I don't know much about 5th edition D&D, and they're all like, oh, Curse of Strahd, and there's like a million podcasts or whatever. What am I getting at? My question is, I love how that appeal, whether you're not familiar with all the Strahd products, shall we say, all the way back, that they can rebrand something for a new audience, or and it still sells, it still does well, because the basis is there for you to enjoy something anew, no matter somebody like myself going, oh, that's old and it's not the original. Forget about that noise. You guys were talking about the Tomb of Annihilation.
Yeah,
right, and it was one of your first roles, and trust me, there's a question coming. Just bear with me.
I'm there. I'm on for the ride. Okay. I'm about it.
Okay. So there you're playing or whatever. My question is, will you have anyone doing Curse of Strahd? Had you had anyone doing Tomb of Annihilation that sat there and, were disappointed, or, oh, this is not the original? I don't think so. I don't think anyone can say that they were just as excited to see the rehash, or am I right on this?
One of our players on our Curse of Strahd game, he has previous experience in other TTRPGs and earlier editions of Dungeons and Dragons, and I mean, he has had no issue with it. I think that, and this is a personal opinion, but I think regardless of edition or game, as long as you're invested in your characters and the people you're playing with, it's easy to look past, what edition or when this was published or what about it. So I think that's kind of where we fall anyways. I don't know, Josh?
Yeah, because it's a lot more of, for us, or like our group, it's more about us playing the game with friends and having our own story. Like, I don't care if the module was released 30 years ago or if it was released yesterday. It's as long as there's good content and a fun adventure for us to play through and, forge our way through and make our own story. Like, I couldn't care less when it was released or what if it's a rehash or what have you. Because, us being, as we called earlier, late bloomers, we haven't experienced those.
Yeah.
So having a modernized version of a classic campaign, I'm about
all new
it.
To me.
Yeah.
All new to me.
You know what, guys? You make me smile. Oh, I'm telling you, what you guys just said, and I'm saying this now because I don't think these two lovely people realize this, has been said to me by popular podcasters. They don't realize the natural chemistry they have, and they're not going, it's all about the chemistry, Jeff, that's what sells. They're going, we're having fun with our friends, and and I'm telling you, this is why Southern Tom Foolery is in the top tier of Starfinder, is because of these lovely people. Doesn't matter if they're new at the game, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter that Josh cheats on his taxes, none of that matters. No. What matters is how much fun they have, around
How did you know?
around the table.
Not really, just...
So now the real kicker question, how did you guys decide that, and even you guys are even braver. For someone like myself, it was like the next, I've been playing for 30 years. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? You don't just keep buying the next book. You kind of become attached to certain editions. What's the next evolution for creativity? For us, it was, let's try to make content. You guys are fresh to the gate. You've been playing for, within 3 to 5 years. What was it that got you guys creating content? And I mean you personally. I don't mean like, whoever produced the show said, guys, what's this? This is a microphone. Don't just ignore it. Talk into as much as you can. Enjoy the chips and the guacamole my wife made. It's fine. Ignore it. But we're just playing a regular game. Everyone act natural. Yeah, like that. You'd be surprised how often that actually happens. And people are like, what's this? It's a big phallic thing that you just lean into. Don't lick it, Josh.
I thought you were talking about guacamole for a second. I was like,
what?
Oh,
the big phallic guac.
Yeah, that's totally exactly.
Guacamole. This is spiraling.
what guy got you two invested, each of you personally, to decide to join on? Or maybe you are the person that said, look, we got to do this. Turning over to the 1%, not the 99% consumer, the 1% creator. What made you personally to start making content, Emily?
So I will say out of the gate, some of our other players in our GM, Adam, they have been in the music scene. So, they were very much familiar with putting on shows and being an entertainer. And we started out recording our sessions, even just when we were playing Tomb of Annihilation, and it was just us, and we had no aspirations of podcast. It was mostly just to kind of record the storytelling process. And as we continued to record our sessions, and some of our friends who weren't playing would watch, and I even watched or listened to some other games that Josh and them had played before I came along. So it was kind of a natural progression, that it was just like, we're already recording these things. We ought to just put some more effort into it and polish it and put it out to the public. So I want to say it was probably Adam, our GM, who really, finally said, hey, let's do the thing. But it was, I think all of us are at our core. We like to make people happy, and we like to have fun and engaging characters, and we just wanted to share that with more people. But I think that's pretty much where it started. Josh, do you have?
Yeah, it was mostly just, we started recording our Storm King's Thunder campaigns for our own for our own purposes, to be able to recap for ourselves. And I believe Adam started putting music to them, and I don't remember who initially came up with the idea, but it was like, we could do this. We could make this a thing. And at one point we're just like, what, screw it, why not? Let's if we do it and it doesn't go anywhere, we had fun doing it, we had fun playing a game together. And if we do it and it goes somewhere, well, then cool, people are enjoying us playing a game that we love.
And I also think that Starfinder coming out was that was the catalyst, because we enjoyed 5e, but we wanted a little bit more challenge. We had been looking at a few different Pathfinder first edition APs, but then Starfinder was announced and shit got exciting. And most of us are all pretty big nerds, and some of us, Josh, are aggressive sci-fi nerds.
I was actually going to, I was waiting for the moment to interject that, like I said earlier, though, I grew up playing the MechWarrior games. So, they're all it's science fiction. That's my thing so much more. I can relate to it so much. The possibilities of what are to come versus the limitations of what was in the past made up by magic, or made up for by magic, the limitations, is so much easier for me to get behind, and so much easier for me to, I don't know, to role play, or to envision, or to be present in, and to be excited about. So the prospect of a solid science fiction tabletop role-playing game made by the people that did Pathfinder, which I hadn't played before, but made by a well-known company, absolutely I was about it.
Right on. No, that's cool. So a bit of a change up here. I usually leave this question to one of the lasts, but you guys are just adorkable, as we say up here. Late bloomers. You're close to my age, maybe within 10-15 years, I hope. I'm curious. I always find it fascinating to ask people what they do for a living, to break that mold of the classic gamer who is semi-employed, plus size, over 40, living in his mom's base. I'm looking around. I'm in my own basement. Mom's not here. I am plus size and I'm over 40.
Your basement.
Yeah, it's right. My basement where I dominate from my. No. Starting with Emily. What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
So I work for an international honor society. So yeah, I'm a nerd through and through. I do event planning and marketing for them. So it's a lot of fun. I like to make sure that people are having a good time all over the place, you know.
All over the place. I love the accent. It kills me. Like through the magic of editing, we paused the show. I ran to pick up my wife, and we've been trying to launch our own Starfinder show. Spoiler, under a brand new GM, Rob Hammond, and we're going to do the Chimera mystery. Because after the show Picard came out and it was like spies and space intrigue, I'm like, this is what we got to do. You know, we're crazy for never playing Starfinder and trying to pick up frequency of screams and just like start playing at 7th level. We're crazy. We'll shelf that. Well, you know, let's talk them all into doing this because I could do that. I'm the producer. So anyway, so there's Rob, you know, like who's bought all these books and everything and just kind of like, just, okay, I'll look at this now, you know, but he agrees. In it, my wife is actually going to do a cameo, if not help play in the story, and she hasn't been in a lot of our material, and she came up with this half-elven pilot. And in our home game, which funny enough right now, Josh, is D20 Modern, with the Archaea stuff put in, so it's like a magical Los Angeles kind of thing, right? Yeah. Cool. That we're just doing for fun. And she made up this brand new character who's an investigator called Cindy, and she does a Southern accent. And my wife isn't one for like doing accents, so when she did the Southern accent, and Emily's, you know, doing the interview, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Cindy Southern.
Except it's real.
It's real. So I'm driving my wife home 5 minutes ago, and I'm telling her, you know, I'm at these lovely people, you know, down south. They're my kind of nerds, and she has your accent. She says, what do you mean? I said, you know, she's doing the Southern accent. My wife just looks at me like, you said they were from Mississippi. Of course she has. Like, idiot. Of course. Please tell her that. No, I'm telling her now. You know, I'm gonna tell you you're a big fan, honey. So there. You know. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong. I am totally doing a Southern accent.
Yeah, on purpose. You know,
it's 100% natural.
You know, so just
having drinks with Emily, I promise you, it is absolutely
natural.
Just gets more and more Southerner.
It really does.
Southerner.
Nailed it.
Well, John, you got a little bit of one now. As a DM, in gaming, I like using different voices, and you can't just. You have the advantage of like, oh, my guy's two-dimensional. They're going to talk for 5 minutes, so you don't have to like put so much into it. But you start gravitating to accents you've heard in movies, and then they become. Unfortunately, some people nowadays are like, oh, you're doing stereotypes. It's like, no, I just. Rico Suave is Rico Suave. It sounds like European Mediterranean kind of guy to me in my head, so this is what you're getting, you know, that kind of thing, right? Bad guys usually end up being German and Russian. Don't ask me why. Just DMs do this, right? You know, I'm the big guy, and you know, you're in trouble. That kind of thing. So my question for you is, as someone that doesn't have a standard North American accent in Hollywood, because you have someone like Hugh Jackman, who's Australian, has to drop it, learn how to speak American accent. They don't teach a Southern accent, they teach a Northern accent, and they're like, okay, now you're Wolverine. And he's like, hi, I'm this, right? And then he'll be off camera and you'll see him, Hugh Jackman, as himself with Australian accent. You're like, what's he doing? Why is it? No, really, that's how he talks. So my question for you guys is, do you find people doing accents, and of course yours comes up in the mix of GM, like, do you find that offensive? Because for us, it doesn't register. And nowadays, you know, stepping on eggshells, everything has to be so politically correct. Do you find that offensive? You think it's fun?
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, a little bit of background. Like I don't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I do have something of an accent, but I don't have the traditional, like, you know, quote Southern accent. Except for probably how I just said the word Southern.
There is a bit. There's a bit of drawl. It's beautiful.
It's
under
my
the.
fault.
I'm loving his Tom.
Thanks, Emily.
The Tom Selleck mustache that this guy is rocking is majestic, and it's like, you know, I just give him the mirror shades, and he's a state trooper. I'm telling you, Josh has got that face. Anyway, sorry.
But no, like I intentionally, when I was younger, I didn't want. Most movies, most TV shows, and entertainment in general portrayed people with that type of accent as fools or idiots or unintelligent. And, you know, when I was younger, I didn't want to be seen that way. So it also helps that my parents don't really have a very strong one, but, you know, to resist that growing up around, you know, all of your peers that do sound that way, it was a little bit different, a little bit weird for me. But I don't know. I don't really think it's offensive. It's just, you know, it is what it is. It's just as long as it adds to the character, as long as it helps define who that character is, that's fine. Like I couldn't care less.
Okay. Emily?
I don't have a problem with
No?
Southern accents as long as they're done well.
As long as they're done well.
There's a
Honey! I want to put on the spot.
There's a vast difference between a Southern Louisianan accent and a Savannah, Georgia accent.
I take you're not getting mad at me as permission. Honey! I gotta get him down here and do this. Tell you what this is coming from. My mom was born in North London. She came over in a boat at 9. So my grandparents had thick British accents. There were cousins and stuff that visited, type of thing. My dad's family is Canadian and has some Scottish in it. So we had people she actually come down. I'm probably in trouble. Maybe
What?
could you don't have to get on camera, but could you please do Cindy South? They want to hear it.
I really do.
Please, they really want to hear.
Oh, come on, Sugar. I really don't have time for this.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
She
It's
likes
not
it. The
bad.
Southerner likes it. You pack.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got that long I down. Like nothing is a short. They're light and white and right.
Sorry, she can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, obviously, I didn't think about that.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
So yeah, you totally got the long I down. That right?
Well, thank you.
Cover the logo.
But yeah, no, that was awesome. I like it. Very, very nice.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you back to the.
You got to do the thing where you're talking to Lucius, where you're like, all my NPCs are freaking out, and Cindy is the word of reason, and you say, calm down, Sugar.
Calm down, Sugar.
There it is.
That's
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
That sugar is legit.
There you go. So, why did I do that? Well, shameless promotion is you will be seeing my wife and hearing my wife playing a half-elven pilot in our up-and-coming Starfinder podcast using that accent because I asked her real nice. But now, see, we needed permission. We didn't want to. I was actually worried that we've been known to associate with your podcast. I've interviewed 2 interviews now, and I didn't want to seem like my wife was like ripping you guys off or type of thing. And it was a legit question that I always wanted to ask. So thank you guys. I know it seems a bit of a left field question to ask. Like I said, for myself, I had Nana and Granddad. And I can't do a British accent to save my life. I could do like Python stuff, but that doesn't count. Like when somebody leans in and tries to do like the sexy Brit or do like the Cockney gangster or all that stuff, I can't do that. My best is like, ow, Brian, try to be crucified, see if I can. That's about as good as it gets from me.
Yeah.
So I asked my grandparents, and I was trying to like mimic them and stuff, and I was raised on Benny Hill and Great Britain and the Carry On Gang and stuff, and then I'd have a British guest on here and they're like, we don't watch those shows. like that's what America thinks we watch. We don't watch those shows. And I was like, oh crap. I've been hyping this for like, I'm so almost British, but I'm such a proud Canadian, but I find language fascinating. Using the languages in game, Orc, Elven, I try to use them. Meeting characters from around the globe and players that have natural accents or that just really do an accent. I mean, our current game, Age of Ashes, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the Elven Portal podcast, the guys decided to do 3 dwarves that are looking to open a microbrewery, and that's their reason for venturing. And I got guys doing like Scottish accents, crazy good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
I'm like,
and that's hard. That's a hard one. Like legit Scottish accent.
They pull it off, each one of them. I'm so jealous, And then there's myself and the 4th player going, yeah, we're actually I'm actually 1/4 Scottish, and he's German, but don't ask us who he's accent. Anyway, sorry, a bit of a long tangent. Getting back to what you guys do for a living, Josh.
So I'm in the U.S. Air Force. Specifically the Mississippi Air National Guard, and work full time. So I'm not just the a weekender like a normal guard person would be, but I'm an aircraft mechanic. So it kind of led into me playing the character that I do on our podcast as being a mechanic and being the starship mechanic. Because what better way to role play something than it being what you or a fantasy version of what you actually do.
Oh yeah, like you could use some terminology or like sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Like, players are always trying to use engineering against me because one's an electrician, the rest used to build houses, and they're like, no, we can totally, if we just pull this one part of the guy's watchtower, it'll come down and we don't need to roll, Jeff.
Josh.
I'm like,
Yeah, Josh has had a couple moments of those where Adam's like, no, it's space. Shut up.
It's a spaceship. Grab the keys for the spaceship. Adam, airplanes don't have keys. This isn't an airplane.
Grab the keys to the spaceship. There's no keys.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to. Sort of like I also GM a Star Wars show, and that's come up, right? We like have like codes to get on the ship, and they're like, "How do these assassins get on the ship?" So I'm like, "They broke in." Like, like, oh, hang on, let me roll some dice and not show you. Oh yeah, no,
Oh, they made it.
Oh yeah, sorry, And then we got a guy that's a bomb specialist, and he knows there's bombs, and they're like, you've left bombs, like live explosive devices armed on your ship to be tripped by the wrong people. Like, he's like, yeah, totally.
100%.
This is the guy that does the Russian accent, and yeah, but he wasn't there that game, so I'm just like, they disarmed it and we had this great encounter where assassins sneak aboard the ship that's sitting there docked and never counter. Anyway, but I swear somebody was like, next time, leave me the keys, I'm gonna lock this thing up properly. So your story just really struck me. So a military mechanic and an online tech job that is hard to pronounce, let alone remember properly, but you do good work, I'm sure. You guys are
me?
Yeah.
You.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around just what you did.
Sorry, it's an honor society for college students, and I do like the big annual conventions. I plan that and do some of the marketing for the society as well. It's kind of like a Greek society.
A lot of behind the scenes that people are just unaware of the work.
Yeah.
The hard. Am I saving myself with her, Josh? You know her better than I am. Hard work that thank you. We're putting in.
Smooth.
Okay.
Smooth.
So, Emily, are you known, or do you have a favorite go-to class or race or alignment that's your personal favorite, or that just became expected of you, and they're always like, no, you have to do this class, race, alignment? You know what I'm saying? Like, in your playing?
Yeah. Instinctively, I lean toward more of the charismatic roles, just because it's easier for me to role play. Because I'm a
Emily, it's because you're
cat.
charismatic.
I'm a charismatic cat
as a person.
Yeah. Do you drop the accent and like the points go down? Is that?
Sometimes it depends. Sometimes if I try and put on a different accent, they'll go up. Or sometimes it'll go down.
Please
real
do. Do you have any character that doesn't have a Southern accent?
Strahd?
Yes.
Ziva?
Oh yeah, Strahd, Ziva.
Let's go. Let's hear it. Can we have a taste?
Yeah, Nariko Zivarajni is the Madam of the Pools of Paradise.
Oh,
and she's also the captain of the Epoch Tracer.
The femme fatale rush, like
Very
you
much.
went from sexy to sexier. Okay, this is not working. Let's just move. I'm sorry, honey. No, I don't think she can do that one.
She does a pretty sexy Strahd too, though.
It's funny.
Strahd's my favorite because it's like
Oh yeah, no, like the Barovian Romanian wrinkles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
like
one's fun.
I'm sorry, I keep dialing back to Age of Ashes, and I'm not shameless plugging, but I was happy that they gave you a run-along NPC. They don't usually do this in the old games. They're like, here's a guy, he's vital to the story, but not so much if he dies it matters, and he's there to help the setting, draw out some lore, right? And he's a wannabe Cheliax Hell Knight. They're called Armigers. So he's like a squire. But he's from Varesia, which to me is kind of like their gypsy Russian, Spain, Portugal kind of place in Pathfinder. So I'm doing this, Iniria Montoya kind of, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
the dwarven word that you say, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right? And then we used the Pathfinder 2nd edition crit and fumble deck, and he fell on his sword and died. And,
Oh no.
yeah, but not before like later the other characters started getting smacked around by these cards, and then they voted, no, we're not gonna use these cards. I'm like, but I really miss my. Can we bring my guy back? I loved him. Oh, you mean the guy we knew for 5 minutes? No, I don't think we'll be bringing him back. Oh, okay, fine. Freaking Scottish dwarves. So, what about you, Josh? Do you you do have a nice, very sorry, you're just too beautiful. I can't look at you. Let's get rid of the Tom Selleck mustache and everything. You do have a really, you just have a, well, again, my guys all have beards and they have this like bearded thing. Right? You go to tell.
Well, so that's the military. I can't have a beard and go to work.
Right.
So I work with what I'm allowed to do.
Okay. So are you like in the motor pool? Granddad worked in the mold pour and World War II. Are you like, I just want to picture boots sticking out of a Jeep or a Humvee, and you're working on voices. You know what I'm saying here? Like most of us do it in the car in the shower. You don't have these options.
Sure.
You're on the base. Like
Josh is in the cockpit, like pulling out seats while he practices voices.
That's true. That's true. No, like I'm basically a general mechanic, pulling panels off, doing a deep dive into the jet, looking for, airplane gets pulled into a hangar and we strip it down, do whatever inspections need to be done, put it all back together and push it back out to be able to go fly.
Right. So like what a fun misunderstanding that you're up there practicing your Russian and they think you've defected and you're some kind of double agent because you're there on a military base. Picture this.
Oh boy, that would not be fun.
Stay with me, and he's up there going, Emily, I do not think that we hit the bodies properly, this kind of thing. And and Ralph's walking by your CO and he's just like, Sergeant, get down here. We have to talk. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I got to go, Nadia. They found out. Goodbye.
Emily, they know.
They know. Just wailing away on that car seat. Son of a bitch won't come out. No? Okay. Sorry. No, you guys have such interesting lives, let alone the interesting things you do in roleplay. But now, Josh pressured you, Emily, so by all means, help me pressure Josh. Like I was going to say, beyond the mustache, you do have a very nice, warm Mr. Radio voice kind of thing going on. And I'm just curious, do you yourself, we're always talking about players you don't have to like change your voice and do a funny accent. You could just change the way you speak. And people will get, that's a player, this is the character, your own natural voice, higher pitch, slower, faster, that kind of thing. So do you have a process?
Man, I hadn't been doing this long enough to be able to have a process.
Oh, come on.
To be perfectly honest. No, my before we started recording for Southern Tom Foolery or Against the Iron Throne, first session, like the week prior, I was trying to come up with an accent for Fel, my mechanic character in it, as a Verthani mechanic. And he was like, I couldn't pin a good voice to him. So I thought back to movies that I liked and, took inspiration from Mr. Orange from Reservoir Dogs. Kind of a loose Yankee, I don't know, kind of.
You mean the guy that dances while he's torturing the cop?
No. This is the one who was the cop.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
This is the one that was undercover.
Okay.
I did not go for the guy that cuts off the ear.
Okay. Sorry. It's been a while. Like everyone just remembers Mr. Pink because Steve Buscemi didn't want to be Mr. Pink, and that joke comes up it's come up in my cast a lot. And I don't want to be Mr. Pink.
No, that's the Orange is the one that gets shot in the gut. It's like, I'm a cop.
Don't ruin it. It's on my list. I haven't seen it.
Oh, my bad, Em.
Spoilers.
Sorry. Any Tarantino movie is viciously amazing.
True. Yeah.
Am I on par with any Tarantino film? Is unexpected, viciously amazing. Django Unchained is one of my personal favorites because I absolutely love the guy that did The Dentist. Now, Jamie Foxx is cool. The guy's got range. I love him and everything he do, but I absolutely adore the little dude. And like even what was his name? Pretty boy, this
Leonardo.
that scene where he breaks the glass and gets blood everywhere.
Yeah.
That really happened.
That was a real scene.
He just
yeah,
leaned
like
in. Yeah. He's flinging blood on his co-actresses and they're freaking out and they just get, and Tortino's in the back going, "You're doing great. Yeah.
doing great."
Or anything that Christoph Waltz is in, you know, especially if Tarantino's involved.
Thank you. Yes. Bad with names. So obviously we could just chat all day, but I'm supposed to be doing an interview with you two. Or we start? Okay, right. Sorry, Josh. We were talking about your acting process, and even though you're new to the how should I put this delicately, to theater or theater of the mind, do you find yourself, when you're not being incarcerated for being a double agent, or perhaps giving trimming the mustaches of your fellow compatriots on the base, do you find that when you're in the shoes of your mechanic and the DM doesn't believe that the spaceship doesn't have car keys or such, do you find that your knowledge of something practical can actually hinder? Is it worth it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's so you have to kind of separate it. It's similar to player knowledge versus character knowledge, in the sense that it's real world versus fantasy. And sometimes GM says, "Hey, that's not a thing," or "This starship has keys." It's like, all right, cool, let's roll with it. It really just gets down to having to roll with the punches.
Respect the chair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wish I had that. I actually I can't wait for new GMs. I've got 2 that we're molding because I actually GM too many of our shows, and there's no respect for the chair, none.
I have nothing but respect for Adam and everything he's done with us. Like, it's been unreal.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Does he now? I actually have a guy, as a quick question that I could. Someone like myself could only ask someone like the two of you, because one of our lead cast members, Matt Witt, is in his father's band. He's the lead singer. So obviously musical background. Adam, who we talked about during his interview, told me about his music and everything, right? So is he one to break into song? Is he one to be really finicky or really on the nose with the editing for music that he selects?
Yes to the second one, not so much the first. If anybody's breaking into song, it's going to be Heath. He's our Adam is more of a instrumentalist. Heath is a vocalist.
Okay.
And
Adam does a lot more production.
Yes. So yeah, he's very particular about the music. I recently just took over editing our second sort of fluffier show,
the homebrew game that
our
Hacky Sack
homebrew
Heroes.
game. So I GM that one, and I've taken over the editing, and that was one of the things I was most worried about, was putting in music with it, because I wanted it to be up to Adam's standards. So yeah.
Okay. I must apologize. I have burned so much time with tangents. Let's try and hit a couple on the head here. Do either of you remember a happy accident that became a staple in your show? And yes, we were talking about something earlier, and you quickly tried to explain off the mic, like, "Oh no, this is a thing in our show. The audience will get it." Obviously there are jokes that come up, a really good line, and that plays forward. I'm talking about something that was unintentional. I don't mean someone being really witty and nailing a joke and it stuck with you in the audience. I'm talking about like an actual screw up, like an actual, that was not supposed to happen, and before anyone could edit it or change it or whatever, like your cast, or God forbid your audience, jumped onto it with both hands, and now it's there forever.
Titty Mike. So one of our characters is named Titanium Mike, and I don't remember what was. I guess it was one of the people on our Discord that came up with that.
Yes, it was.
And then it kind of bled over into our actual game.
So yeah,
us referring to Titanium Mike as Titty Mike,
and he doesn't love it.
And he's a Vesk, so big lizard dude who's a boxer. So he's not about it.
Yeah, I actually, when you're saying that, like, I actually have a slideshow of your logos and things playing, like panning away, and one is a lovely artist shot. Can you shout out to the audience artists that did the headshots in that sort of Olympic style panoramic?
Yes.
Who did that for you?
That Adam Foster. He is on our Discord, boss, and on Twitter. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his handle on Twitter, but I think it's like Foster or some. if you look on our Twitter, we have him, linked on that and everything. But amazing artist, and his mic bust was pretty great. I loved it a lot.
I mean, all the art he's done for us has been phenomenal.
Yeah, seriously. He did,
Okay, so I've made this a static shot here. Can you go around? I got this Jesus Christ superstar, big Lebowski looking dude on the left here with a beard and the Jesus hair. Who's that?
So the Jesus hair is going to be Orrin Vance. That is played by Zach Evans. He is our resident gruff voice.
Mhm.
And then I believe I'm not looking at the image.
Oh,
so
we got an
is it-
android by the look of him with the data strips.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be Xeno 5 or Xenophiles 5. That's played by John Thomas.
Okay, then you've got a guy.
Soft-spoken.
You got it looks like a 1950s greaser that fell in with the Yakuza, and the tattoos went beyond the neckline, right up to right all over him, and he's got these jet black eyes. I'm digging these characters, man. This is really
That's
good.
my character.
That's your character.
That's my character. That's Felino Morana.
Oh, cool.
Goes by Fel. He's a Verthani, which they can kind of chameleon their skin or like change it to whatever patterns. Have big domed like mouse-like eyes. But yeah, that's my mechanic.
Okay, and we have a white-haired Lashunta, I believe the race is, with the antennae, pink skin, a little bit of Jadzia Dax going on with some sort of purpley pink freckles.
Yes. So that is Nariko Zivarajni. She goes by Ziva. And she is
Gonna get ready for a
captain.
long introduction.
That was another bit. Yeah. Ziva is fond of saying her own name and her multiple titles. But yeah, that is my character. She is an envoy, and she also owns a brothel. So just living life.
So I loved
her best life.
Best Little Whorehouse in Texas was like beyond the best Dolly Parton. Just saying, it's a great flick. And last, our wrestler.
That's gonna be Titanium Mike, the big Vesk, the lizard man.
I noticed there's no titties in this shot. What? So how did we
titanium titty?
Yeah.
Okay, it's like
It was a cheap joke that just kind of
TTY.
bled through into the
The
actual
low
thing.
hanging fruit not only is easy to grasp, ladies and gentlemen, it gets squished in your hands and leaves residue, and now it's forever.
And it's forever.
So, the envoy, if people don't know, I believe is sort of a space bard. You're a
Absolutely.
buff, right? A wrestler. I'm
Yes.
assuming you're taking one of soldier classes, the mechanic, and getting back to Jesus Christ Superstar. What was this class again?
It was a mystic.
The mystic, right? Which is your sort of occult cleric. If one had to, I know it's or oracle. I know it's they're really not. But just for a quick D&D reference, their function. Let's say in the party, and our android again.
Xeno 5. He's a.
I just had
I wanted to say witch warper, but that wasn't a thing
No.
when he made it because he should have
Oh
been.
my gosh.
Or should be.
Oh my god. What's wrong with me? All I can think is biohacker.
You've been playing with
It's
this guy
not
for like
that.
2 years. It's like, what do you do, android?
What's the other caster in Starfinder? How do I?
I'm
how
Data.
are
I'm
we
the
failing
android.
so
That's a
badly on
thing.
this?
It's a character.
All I can think of is like the newer classes. Like my brain has gone completely. He's our science officer. He is
He's a
Technomage?
Technomancer. Thank you.
Technomancer.
I don't know why that slipped my mind.
Oh my god. And I'm like reading. I should know. Anyway, sorry.
No,
sorry.
that's good. That's good. You're on par
Sorry,
with
Xena.
my
Terrible. We've
with
been
my level
playing
of...
with that character for a year now, and can't remember what class he is.
No, that's good. I'm sure he's throwing his beer at his monitor right now, watching this interview. Hate you guys so much.
It's not that. We're just terrible. This
Friends?
is true. No,
Yes.
we
Yeah,
are
I
the
am.
two
Sorry.
worst memories of the entire cast. It's
Okay.
really
Mine's-
bad.
Probably worse than Emily's,
That's-
like easily.
Yeah.
No,
If I don't have notes to something, it
Yeah.
might as well
Forget
have not
it.
happened.
No, it's fine, guys. I'm really enjoying talking to you two because I am the same way, and I'm unfortunately producer, editor, and like everything runs through the guy that can't remember stuff chair. Yeah. So
That's the way it works with creatives.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a creative, so
Mhm.
screw you guys. Just enjoy my content.
Respect my process.
I'm using that. I am taking that. Respect my process.
Please do.
Respect
Absolutely
my
do.
process. Mr. Richards understands. Him and his gorgeous mustache. That's right. You suds up that mustache, you beast. That's awesome. Okay, so I told them they can drink, because you're allowed to, but you're not allowed to eat, right? So I just, yeah, it's killing me. Now I know where I've seen this face. The new Harley Quinn cartoon, the broken down, drunk Commissioner Gordon. I'm telling you, I'm looking at him, and Richards is really pulling it off well. It's an amazing anime cartoon that's got Coco from Big Bang, the girl.
Oh,
Okay.
Right, she does Harley Quinn, and like the show is Torrentino style. It's gross, it's vicious, and they get into such dark satire from the villain's point of view. I'm just eating it up.
You had my attention. Now you have my curiosity.
All right, well, the first
Yeah,
episode's a hard watch, I gotta say, but by the time you get to 3 or 4, I mean, like any cartoon that has the balls to have a villain on the street fighting Wonder Woman and drop the C word, and then everything freezes, and then you see Lex Luthor disowning his ass from the Injustice League, going, he doesn't represent us. He's not with us. They just toss it out, and it's like, oh, that's brilliant. Now, we were talking about earlier on the show about language being an adult show. It's a bit of a conflict because in Britain the C word is dropped like F-bombs. In Canada, it is like the worst thing. America, it's kind of in the middle, I guess, but in Canada, that's like
Australia, it's like buddy, friend.
Yeah. But like I'm telling you, up in here in Canada, it is the worst thing you could say. And I'm not just talking about around women. I mean, like amongst dudes, you drop that word, and it's like, guys, just take a step back. I'm not with him.
I think it depends on the crowd you're in America, but it has that kind of staying power as well.
No, we don't condone swearing. I think there's a use for it, either in comedy or in a certain anger thing. So, because when you're role playing, again, being the GM, you're supposed to be the worst of the worst, the best of the best, the thankful of the thankful, even if the party doesn't just roll over your town, or you got to be all these people. You don't need cursing just to sell it. No, but. Yeah. In certain situations, it doesn't help that one of my cast members is like borderline Tourette's either, but not that he's ever dropped a C-bomb. So this big
Not yet.
chat leading up to my next question: how would you rate your show on a scale of 1 to 10 for adult content and, as you say, tomfoolery? Because that really leads into, like, when I look at your first logo, a sci-fi actual play is the last thing I would think of when you see Southern Tom Foolery. I love the possum logo too. It looks like a talk show. It looks like people being opinionated from a Southern point of view. It looks like all these really cool things, and then it's like, what is this aggressive nerd sci-fi crap? Oh, wait, no, this is good. Oh, I'm on episode 40 already. I totally forgot about that other talk show from the South. Blah blah blah. I'm watching this now. You guys you deceptively bring us in, and you keep us in your hearts. And, so it's like. How would you guys personally say how good, how offensive, how bad, how foolery your own show is?
One being Teletubbies, like, fluff,
One being
kindergarten
Blue's Clues.
okayness.
Yeah, where you immediately turned off because it's a Teletubby. Yeah, like, brain dead, goodbye. Okay, that's a good one.
And 10 being like OnlyFans or something,
what's the rudest thing? Like Big Mouth on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'd say we're probably
on rude.
6.5, 7.
I'd say a 7. I'd say if
7
Zebra weren't a part
sounds-
of it, I think we could get away with a solid 4.
But there's also language, and just as us as players.
Yeah. Overall, our content is, I think, pretty middle of the road.
Okay.
Like, we don't necessarily broach. Well.
Yeah, we do.
We do. It's not all the time. There are certain instances throughout the campaign that we have heavy moments. Obviously, everybody does.
Oh, I like that, heavy moments. So, like, addressing, shall we say, things like awkward or aggressive sexuality or racism. This alien doesn't like that alien.
Topics.
That kind of thing can happen. That kind of.
Yeah. Across the board, I'd say about a 6, 6.5.
Okay. Now I'm hoping you guys will help me post this in your Discord, and watch it light up with numbers that vary far, far up and down from what you guys.
Oh yeah, we'll get some 2s, we'll get some 7s, we'll get some 10s, we'll get some 48 out of 55s.
Yeah, you'll get
clean 48.
You'll get you'll also get like recommendations of like, oh yeah, you want to see something? Go to this link.
Exactly.
This show. That kind of thing.
Our Discord is.
Oh, it's special.
Yeah, it's
good.
It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
It is, and
special.
it's a warm, tight community. I have lurked there before. Adam invited me in, not just to spam this content that crosses over to yours, because I've interviewed himself and you guys now, but just reading the tone, the fun, foolish, not necessarily Southern tone of these asshats that are posting, and they're very lovely people, very warm, loving community. It always amazes me when I get invited to another content creator's Discord, because ours is all tumbleweeds and shit. Just the vibe, there isn't that sort of classic internet going so much hope and so much trolling, and you guys are just like, you guys are on the nose and just happily talk about all these subjects in the different channels, and not just you guys, there's been others that I've gone to. So my next question for the two of you is the community. How do you find, because within your own community you've created, you guys are rock stars. I mean, Josh is the artist formerly known as Richards, and Emily is like somewhere between Sinead and Cher. Like, how do you guys do?
Man, I would not consider myself, or Emily for that matter, a rock star.
No. I did shave my head one time, so that was kind of Sinead-ish.
You did.
So,
I did too once in basic training.
You're hiding under a hat right now, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Oh, it's grown out. It's a little gross, but it's grown out.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean you had to doff the cap. Oh, she got a GCP cap on. Look at that.
Of course she does.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm a big fan. I unfortunately have stopped watching. I just don't have time so far behind that show. But
I'm super behind.
I've always been a huge fan. I mean, do you guys know that our all Cavalier party for Dice Before Dishonor playing War for the Crown is actually on a dare that Troy the Valley happened to mention in one of his cannon fodders? Him and Joe are arguing. They're arguing about how Troy will never do mounted combat. Troy's like, I want to do mounted combat, and of course he puts a halfling on a wolf, right? And Troy's like, I'm not touching that. Exactly, right. So he's never going to touch it. And then they start talking about their up-and-coming Starfinder. And out of nowhere, Troy's like, you know what I want to see? An all-Cavalier party sharing team feats. And I'm listening to this going, yes.
Can do.
Yes, Messiah, I shall bring this to you. That kind of thing, right? Skid Meyer was about to launch a show, and I'm like, oh God, please don't do War for the Crown, because I have too much respect for these guys to actually go head-to-head against them. And thank God he picked Ruins of Islani, because I know War for the Crown was one of the things he was right. So we jump into War for the Crown. But of course, we screwed around for 22 episodes doing a prologue for a Pathfinder Society adventure. People going, this is not Crownfall. What the hell is this? We finally get going. We got 3 Cavaliers and a Samurai. And the guys don't know GCP like I do. I shit you not. One guy came up with a halfling, put him on a wolf. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are killing me. Like, everyone knows I'm a fan. They're going to think I'm just like being stupid with
pandering.
This. Yeah, like, because, these guys are they don't return my calls.
To be fair, they're a little busy now.
They are.
I guess.
They are. No, it's fine. I think I damaged our relationship with them a long time ago by just being aggressively fanboy spammy and very fanboy. And they're just like, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, we had a good experience with them at DragonCon last year. Went to their live show in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And got to hang out and, shoot the shit with them afterwards, and had great conversation, good talks, good times, a lot of laughs. Like, it was a genuinely cool experience to get to meet those guys.
Yeah. And
like they're really cool. They're just freaking busy.
The humor, the breaking in the song, the movie references and everything. Like, I'm sure you guys do it, and I've seen a couple things I myself, Matt, we all break into song, movie references, so being of that sort of niche of that kind of nerd, they really resonate like with someone like myself, and obviously you guys who buy their merch. Look at that, you can buy their merch.
Yeah.
Speaking of merch, remind me that we had to talk about your merch. You know, I want to. I already got a Hideous Laughter fanny pack that I want coming, and joked about. You know, I want to dress up as Vader for our We Shot First Star Wars podcast, because like me, Jeff, walking around going, "Listen to my podcast," no one's gonna do it, right. But if Darth Vader walks up on you and gives you a card that he pulls out of a fanny pack that says Hideous Laughter on it, you're gonna take that card. You're gonna check. Yeah. So
You know, I love all the HLP guys.
See,
they're fantastic crew.
If I actually just had the distinct pleasure of not only interviewing Griffin, the GM, but before I got my hands on him, I interviewed both the girls.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually listened to that episode.
Did you?
Just earlier today because I was trying to get in the mind.
Yeah, just see you know what you're in for. I try to cheat up. Anyway, if I ever went to meet the GCP crew, you know what I have? I would, because we have our own merch. I would print a T-shirt that like Canada apologizes to Matthew. Sorry you don't like us. You know, just like something like and just casually like put my hand up to be one of the guys that walk up to the mic and just straight answer a question and let them see the shirt but never bring it and just walk away and they never saw me again. You know, or go full on Knights of Knee. You know, like walk up like, you know, no, I don't know. I think I would spaz out. I mean, like, how do you meet someone and not kind of go
when they're drunk?
Yeah, and go, oh, I'm also a podcaster. You know, do you know who I am? You know.
So about that,
yeah.
The way that we went about it, or the way that I went about it in the live show that they did, there was a bit that they did where, was it Grant put up on the screen, you know, don't do a competing podcast because Grant will beat you up, or I'll come beat you up. And so after the show, I had some koozies on me because it's Dragon Con and kind of, you know, trying to spread our, like, what we're doing and handing out koozies and whatnot. Went up to Grant and I was like, hey, so please don't beat me up. But here you go. And handed him a koozie. It's like, we've been doing a Starfinder podcast. I mean, just go out on a limb. Would love if you guys, you know, or if you know, listen to us, check us out, see what you think, give us some feedback, whatever. And he's like, dude, I'm not going to beat you up. He went and reached out and touched my shoulder. He's like, you're too buff. I wouldn't beat you up.
That's right. I'm in the military, son. Me? Bring it on.
Me? And then he picked Heath up and like, you know,
cradled him like a baby.
Cradled him like a berry. It was beautiful. It was a good time.
I am a fan of Androids and Aliens as well. And I am also a, sorry, gone right out of my head. What is her name? Oh my God. I got so thank you, Ellie. I'm a big Ellie fan. She does streams now and stuff, and she's trying to do her own brand, and you know, and she posted a picture of her baking in an R2D2 smock. And I was all over that. I'm like, hey, we have, you know, if I send you a T-shirt or something that has our R4 character that they call Arthur, you know, would you wear, you know, kind of thing, you know, would you please do an interview? And again, you get crickets or too busy, but no, being isolated up here in Canada, and now, of course, now I don't have access to the conventions, and I would run around happily, Vader or no, glad handing everybody and getting to know everyone. Now I have the show. And we talk pre-mic, post-mic, and it's my way of not just networking, but getting to know the community. Because I am your biggest fan. I love connecting, listening, and sort of hoping to push forward with a show like this. Other podcasts, sure, I, you know, mention the crap out of mine a lot, but like without the diversity. You know what I mean? Like, people ask, oh, why Star Wars? That's all there was. In the sense, like, there was nothing else. Great. It's still going. It's huge.
It's what we had.
It's what we had. Right now, you have such engagement going. Well, what do you like? Do you like Babylon 5? Do you like You know, I like Star Trek DS9. It was cool. You know, you have all this content to choose from. So many shows. You know, and talking to our children, going, you know, you don't know. We only had 2 sci-fis. You know, there was Space 1999 that I was 4 and my dad had on TV and I didn't understand it. You know, there was Trek with this little man going, thank you. I get to date all the women, you know, that kind of thing. That was it. And then Star Wars, and the guys are like, you know, walking around, and this creepy little green dude is gonna like ride on your shoulder like he's spooning you, going, "You're doing well," you know. This kind of that was it. And there's just so much now. It's overflooded. How do you stand out? how do you guys, it's my next question actually, sorry, I'm not just pandering. How do you guys, try to stand out in what is quickly becoming a sea of podcasts, now Pathfinder, now Starfinder, like shout out to Jason Elias, who takes all of our stuff and posts it and makes a list, I tried to interview him once, and the poor guy was like doing renovations, and he was like in a closet, and there was some kind of dehumidifier pulling moisture out of his walls, and like we decided not to, but I just, and he's like, why are you what
Jason is a saint, and
He
he
absolutely
has
is.
earned his crown in heaven, and I'm just like so happy that he exists as a human in my lifetime.
Now,
So,
ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a gentleman who doesn't really have his own content. He started a Discord and a Twitter account to reach out to other podcasts such as ourselves and promote them because he loves listening to podcasts. And
he just wanted to bring the community together.
I just love this guy. And through him,
he's done a hell of a job with it.
So many of us have connected. And like I said, I just got to drop his name. And then people will actually, Jason? Okay, we'll talk more.
What do you do? What do you do? That's his thing.
Yeah,
it's called What Do You Do Pod or
Yep.
podcast?
What do you do, pods?
What do you do
pods?
on there's like a black and white logo on Twitter. Find it. And he's got a spreadsheet that we're all constantly going up. My feed isn't working. Could you just please update that? Thank you. That kind of thing. I clicked on your link and it's saying not available, and this is why. Like you start believing that if you don't go through Jason, there are no gates to heaven. There's no one will realize. Anyway, what I'm getting at is someone like him is great in the community, and of course there's negative aspects in the community as well. Do you guys do anything specifically, not just because that you are a good podcast, that you are doing something new, still relatively new, like Starfinder, it is still relatively new, that you are friends and have great chemistry and work really hard on the music, the post-production, and the quality aspect, all these things to combined, rise up. Is there anything special that you could tell another content creator out of the gate, something that you do to connect with the community, or something that you do to stay relevant in the community? You know what I mean? I'm not talking like, let's turn this into video going, how to get views fast and how to subscribe. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you guys.
Hit that bell.
Yeah.
Smash it.
Smash that bell. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I think our originally, the reason we went with our name, Southern Tom Foolery, is that we know we're a bunch of Southerners with accents, and one of the things that we wanted, kind of like Josh said with his early on in his life, where he didn't necessarily want to be associated with that stereotype of Southern individuals, we really wanted to take and let the world know, all Southerners are not, inbred, toothless, and
children of the cable guy.
Exactly. That we really appreciate our Southern roots and our goofy Southern sayings and our weird obsession with possums. Maybe that's just me, whatever.
It's mostly you.
It's mostly me. That's fine. But essentially just taking what you already are and owning it and bringing it into your brand. Just don't ever try and fight who you are, enhance it. And I think that's one of the things, I hope that's one of the things that sort of endeared us to some of our listeners, is that we know we're a bunch of goofy nerds with Southern accents, and we sort of lean into it, and then we just really want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. I think that's part of our Southern nature, is that
it's a little bit of our Southern charm.
We're just very hospitable individuals, and we just want everybody to enjoy the show.
No, Jesus Christ, definitely.
To
piggyback off of
the
that,
famous Southern hospitality, made famous by the song. Yeah, that's great. That's good.
to piggyback off Emily, though, I mean, the biggest thing that I think, like, if I were to have to try and pin down a single thing for another podcast to aspire for, or to try to do to be, I guess, successful, have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourselves. First and foremost, like, forget the fact that you're recording, forget all the production, everything else around it. Enjoy the game that you're playing. because that is, if you're not enjoying it, if you're not having fun with it, and it doesn't feel like loose, natural, comfortable with the people that you're playing with, I don't think it would end up being as good as it possibly could be, you know. And that's part of what's been so fantastic playing with this group of people. You know, we've been friends for years, and having, I don't like, I genuinely can't describe how lucky we are to have the group of people that we're playing. I know I mentioned it earlier that we've been playing weekly for the past 3-4 years, and that has not stopped, and there's no sign of it stopping. Like we're incredibly lucky with the group of people that we have, and just kind of decided to take our table game and start recording it, and it just kind of ran from there.
Production, you can put all of the time and effort into production, and I do absolutely appreciate what Adam does. But if you don't have quality content that you enjoy creating, what's the point?
Right. If you don't have fun with it, why bother?
Exactly. No. I have heard this before many times from other content creators, and you know what? I never get tired about hearing about it. It's almost like a setup question. I'm not saying every answer is the same, and this is the one answer to that one question. I have heard variations, but it's the truth, and I never get tired hearing about it, and I never get tired asking this question, so that the audience that's listening, hopefully, to this, or what, steer to that course. There is nothing wrong with a single mic in the middle of a table with crap audio. I have met some relatively big names that are like, I'm listening to the fun, I'm listening to the content, I want to feel that I'm at the table, right? The product quality can come later as they learn, and hopefully, you will have the time or money or whatever to invest in that, that kind of thing. It really counts. Our worst production ever is one of our most famous, where we literally were not online, and we had people over, people that some friends of mine came out of the woodwork. I only had 2 cast members, and I filled 2 slots with people that I have gamed with personally, and like, here, you've never been in front of a mic, that type of thing for podcasting. Let's go. We're going to beta test the 2nd edition. Remember the beta, how weird that was, right? But we're not going to do Doomsday Dawn, even though I could tie its roots to Entomb with the Pharaohs and Stonepack Pyramid, and no one mentions this, and it's such a good big thing. We're going to do like a Pathfinder Society adventure. We're going to do like 5th level characters they've never played. 5th level guys. We're going to do Pathfinder Society, Arc Lord's Envy, and it's in Quantium, and it's like got this Arabic thing going on, and it's a murder mystery, and it was so much fun. And we were supposed to do it all in one day, 8 hours, and we ended up playing for 4 because there was so much setup time and pizza and the type of thing, right? And always pizza. Some of our biggest fans that came out of the woodwork that I've had a chance to speak to go, that's the why I started listening to you guys. I caught this, it was like channel surfing through your own stuff, and then I stuck on this one, and even it's like, really, like, Matt's mic was dead the entire term. All you heard was the 2 mics beside him, thank God, picking him up, where he's like, and I do this, like the whole time, that kind of thing. And this is the guy that's in a band with his father and set up said tech.
Oh wow!
And his mic was, and we had no idea. And living room, there's like screenshots of it. My son had a company for the summer making T-shirts. I'm like, ooh, T-shirts! I'm your first company. Here's several $100. Make me T-shirts, and I gave them T-shirts and made them wear it. For our other pod, and we're all in bright golden yellow tees because it's the desert for the Mummy's Mask with these epic pyramids, and it's like that's not what we're playing right now, but
it doesn't matter.
Just went all in, and it was the absolute most fun. It really made us miss, because we all have history of like around the table type of thing. But if you can't do that, and even in these times, Josh, Emily, maybe there's something we could do that you guys could do in your Discord, something I had planned to do about reaching out or just posting stuff. I go like a tech tip about, it's not that hard to set up Zoom. You guys are one of the few, like myself, that have been online out of the gate.
Yep.
And maybe we can give back to the community by setting up some way of tips, like some of these great podcasts like the GCP are determined to put out great content, and they're spinning it, and they're 5 heads in their living rooms, and they're going brand new shows. They're that devoted. Hats off to them. But I'm looking at their fumbling over Roll20 sometimes, and I'm like, guys, there's no one to talk to. Like, there's some polish that anyone, like a fan, please let me help you. If you're interested, let me help you guys at least, or that kind of thing, or but again, so busy, and not just them. other podcasts, little podcasts that just died because of a current world situation, and it doesn't have to be so. If you're sitting around doing nothing, learn how to use Roll20. You learn how to use our sponsor, Fantasy Grounds. A Zoom is relatively easy. You have the mics, get them to the guy's house, and it's better than not playing. Yes, there's a disconnect with the chemistry. It's not the same as being around table. I get that, but hey, it's way better than nothing.
Yeah. It's
For sure.
A virtual tabletop is certainly different because we have our Curse of Strahd game is in person, and it is with just like my husband and some of our friends, but it's vastly different, and Josh obviously, but it's vastly different from our online sessions, and not necessarily one is better than the other. It's just a different way of connecting.
Well, and I think that we're kind of fortunate in this, and that we started prior to everything that's going on in the world right now. We started doing it remotely. My first D&D session was on Roll20 over, I think, Google Hangouts maybe or Skype.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad way to play. And to call back to earlier, you can play in your pajamas.
Exactly.
Nobody will judge you for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I may or may not be wearing pants right now.
I was gonna say I just watched Deadpool 2. Are you shirt cocking it right now?
I mean,
she's got the little baby legs.
Don't stand up for the break, right? Emily, you had me at husband. Is he home? Can you bring him and make him do a Canadian accent so I can redeem myself? Because I am gonna get so much trouble when I go upstairs.
Nope, he doesn't do accents. That's his one thing. His variation is volume. He gets a little bit softer. That's his vocal range. But it works for him. It's okay.
Oh, okay. That's good. But it works for you. I mean, you brought the guy home, right? So I hope it works for you.
He's stuck around,
Yeah. Or is it just like, don't use that voice in front of the players? We need to,
No, he's just kind of a laid back kind of dude.
Is he one of your cast?
He's super chill.
Did I miss a
not
beat here?
Not the cast. He's in my curse game. I GM or DM, I guess, since it's
okay.
Yeah.
No, I feel it. Business employee. Like I said, my wife has done cameos, and we're maybe lining her up as a regular in Starfinder. But there's she hears about this 24/7. It's like, and now you want me to play with all of them? No, thank you.
Yes, come.
No, she did a great cameo as a halfling cleric with said dwarves in Age of Ashes, and then we went off a different direction with it. But we touched a little bit on, like I said, called you guys rock stars, the genuine personality online versus versus a persona. You talk to a famous person like Tom Hanks, who seems so grounded, and say, Tom, because I know him so well. And then you get talking about something personal, whatever. I don't get that. I don't think you cannot help but be yourself. You could be yourself ramped up. I get accused, I take it as a compliment. They're like, Jeff, you're not a GM. You're more like a game show host. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. I never said I was a good GM. I just love doing it.
It's a show.
Yeah.
And you're playing a game.
Yeah. But
Is it wrong?
Obviously, you've not seen any of my stuff. I'll just leave that.
I guess
just leave that. I wanted to ask you guys about your own merchandise. Do you guys have merch? Can fans buy it? Where can we find it?
So currently, the only merch that we have are buttons that I made. I made like 600 buttons before we went to Dragon Con. And we also have koozies, as Josh mentioned, that have like our logo on it.
No, sorry, those are not. What's a koozie?
Sorry, like a drink sleeve.
Like a foam drink sleeve.
Yeah.
Put a can
keeps your beer cold. Okay, sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
What do you guys call that then?
Drink cozies. Cozy. Not
okay,
cozy.
Yeah.
Koozie.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
What's all these koozies about? I get it.
I think koozie is technically a brand name, so I don't know, but don't quote me on that. But we have those items right now, but they're only for our Patreon subscribers. But one of our Patreon our goals is when we hit our $300 a month goal, which we're only about, I think, like $30 away from. We will open our merch store where we will be selling hats, t-shirts,
I'm
all
sorry.
kinds
So
of
you have a
stuff.
$300 tier, or the
No,
total money
God,
coming
no.
in when the total money
That
coming
one,
in is
the
$300?
second one.
Good
Okay,
Lord.
sorry.
That
A
one.
$300 tier. Yeah, wait.
No.
Sorry, you're wearing the GCP hat. They got like a $5,000 tier where you just like,
Yeah, no.
you get to marry
That ain't
Matthew and you
us.
hang out
Emily.
with them.
Sounds to me like we've been slacking. I'm
I know, we
single.
need to
I
get
could
our
marry
life-
somebody with
just-
$5,000 a
Yeah.
month.
No, when we get 300 a month, we will open our merch store. So yes, that one.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about now. There's your base show, Starfinder, and you guys got like some fun projects on the side. What's your latest project? What are you guys sinking your teeth into these days? You have like a second show, a solid show.
Hey, Jeff, do you mind if we pause real quick? I really gotta pee. And like go back to the beginning of that question.
I totally forgot to mention that you could type in the chat, and then that doesn't. Of course, that's
Well,
up
that
forever
would've
now. but-
helped.
Okay. After these messages, someone will be right back.
Yeah, I'll be right back. You guys go ahead and have a great time.
Okay, we're just leaving that in. He thinks I'm cutting this out. I'm not. Like, one of my first and best interviews was a guy in one of the Yugoslav countries, and we're like 30 seconds in and his mom calls. And he's like, hang on. And he's like, oh, blah, 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 you know, I'm an interviewer, blah, 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 you know, type of thing. Attack of opportunity, blah, 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 you know, Jeff Balls and Putts, blah, 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 right? And, okay, bye, ciao. Sorry, blah, blah. I'm like, please let me leave that in. Please, God, that was the best. Because he just like, for me, it really rang home about people are people.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
and it really rang home. I was like, this is an international guest. Thank you to the miracle of the internet. I'm talking to a guy, you know, like 10,000 miles away in real time. That is, to me, that is like so cool. He was very cool about it. He let me leave it in, or at least he didn't say no. Maybe he just never listened to it. I hope, you know, type of thing. Crafty from Tabletop Crafts, and so I do have a couple of quick stalling questions that you just have to let's talk about. Well, these are questions that either one of you can answer because you're in the same crew. What is your latest project? What do you got going in the future?
So I will say right now, like you said, our main show is against the Aeon Throne. That's we actually just finished it up. We are going to be releasing our 3-part season 1 finale on May 30th. So that's kind of like pretty exciting. And we're going to actually be doing a live stream kind of drop party before then, just right before it drops. So from like 5 to 7, we will be hanging out online with our listeners and shooting the shit and having a lot of fun. So we're really looking forward to that. And then we have technically 3 other shows that we sort of do. Hacky Sack Heroes. It's an offshoot of the main show that was built around some random NPCs that we turned into PCs. And then I GM that. We also have Tom Talks, which is our kind of like our mini interview sort of show, or our just kind of discussion show. And then we have STFU, Southern Tom Foolery Unlimited, where we interview like people in the community. Specifically, we've just been doing authors like for the books that we've played. And then we also work, you mentioned Hideous Laughter. We have another sort of side gig that's only accessible through our Discord.
Kind of a collaboration.
Yeah. It's called Hideous Tomfoolery, and we are playing the Attack of the Swarm, and Griffin and Steve are playing with myself, Heath and Zach, and Adam is GMing. So that's a very fun little crossover that we're doing.
Oh,
It's
that's
just
cool.
It's just sort of like a super fun, low key. Yeah. So, but those are kind of like the important, legit things that we have going on. But Josh and I have been throwing around this concept for a while now. It actually was born out of people, the crew, and some of our listeners sort of ribbing me about my atrocious lack of movie
It's
knowledge.
so true, though.
Like I just don't. I haven't seen a lot of movies. Like there's literally a list that we've compiled. I have approaching 150 movies that are just like super obvious films that everybody should have seen that I haven't.
Like, can I point out that that's like literally a movie rack behind you in the screenshot that I'm looking like? Are those not DVDs on a very nice tight wall unit behind you during this interview?
Yeah, most of those I have seen. There's a couple of them that are like my husband's that I haven't seen.
They're not action figures. You are allowed to take them out of the wrapper, Emily, and you should watch. You should watch them.
Right. Well, the cool thing is we plan on doing that.
We're gonna.
Yeah, Josh and I have been fiddling with the idea, and we're going to be doing a sort of YouTube based kind of reaction review show, I guess you could say.
Little vlog.
Oh
type
yeah.
thing,
Can I hit you up with a short list of just to kind of see how this is going to go? Do you mind if we like test this a little bit here?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I will go with we'll make this easy, okay? Because I don't want to step on Josh's toes. I know Josh would love to hit you with the sci-fi aspect, so we'll stay with fantasy.
You can hit sci-fi because there's a lot that I haven't seen.
No, I know, but
there's a lot that I would have liked to see. But
what you're pitching sounds really cool. I got to check this out. But let's go with classic fantasy movies that gamers watch and talk about while they game. This is the type of thing where all the way back, I was always on about artists in the 80s like Jeff Easley and Larry Elmore and stuff that did all the Dragonlance art. Staring at a single picture like that was just so much inspiration for a character or an idea or just made you want a game, right? There are movies you watch that you're halfway through. And if your buddy showed up in the door, you would shut it off to go game, or you would make them watch it, and they're like, "Okay, we just watched this movie for 2 hours. Let's spend the next 4 hours gaming." This is the impact these movies had or have had. Okay, and I'm not just talking to me personally. I'm talking about like I have talked to so many gamers about this, and they just have a short list, and we'll see how you score on it. Okay, we'll see if I can get to 10 movies. Okay. So, not in any particular order of like that you had to watch. They just kind of like made this list. Okay. So number 1, have you seen The Highlander with Sean Connery?
No.
Neither have I.
Okay. No. Okay, Josh, you got to keep score. Hey, no, Josh. We'll do you in a minute. Okay.
Oh, well, I thought we were doing both of us.
Oh no,
we were doing simulcast.
Oh, sorry. Well, no, that's fine too. I just thought this was a pick on Emily show because you said the whole thing was like she hasn't seen anything, so we're just gonna bring guests.
So I've seen some things. Okay. She hasn't seen anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you keep score for me here?
Sure.
Let's write something down here. Okay, so that's 1 out of 10, zilch and zilch. And you at home, you can play along. That's right. Go. I want you to go right to the Southern Tom Foolery Discord. I don't care how you find it. Go to their website and jump into their Discord and tell them how you rated on Jeff's score of 1 to 10 of the movies that I believe are staple movies for fantasy. See, I'm setting you up with material.
Yeah,
your community will be involved.
We're going to post the question.
Yeah, Adam's going to message me going, dude, what are you doing? You don't represent us. How dare you?
No, do it.
All right. Okay, number 2. Now, I'm gonna start like way in the past, and there's stuff like coming up. Okay?
Okay, gotcha.
And some will be bundles. Okay?
Okay.
Number 2, the original Conan, or, either Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, not
seen it.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Great movie.
Okay. So
there's weasels in that, right?
We're getting to that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We're getting to that. That's number 3. But number 2, either Conan movie, and they count as a single point. If you've seen, ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen either Conan movie all the way through, the second one literally has an adventuring party because he has like a warrior, a thief, that kind of thing. Either one counts. Okay, so a no and a yes. So that's 1 point, Josh. Yep. 0 out of 2. Okay, number 3, Beastmaster. Half-naked Fabio guy with 2 rodents and the tiger and the original Beastmaster.
Anyway, that sounds right up your alley.
And he had Mongo and Pongo. He had these ferrets or weasels or something that were, they were.
I am fully aware of it.
There is a character class. There's like character classes all through the editions of D&D and an archetype Beastmaster.
Literally called a Beastmaster.
Yeah, and they dial it. I don't know if they have to copyright buy it. So number 3, Beastmaster. You're the one that pulled the ferrets out of the ear. You haven't seen that movie.
I'm aware of the references. That's part of my problem. Like, I know just enough about it to get me by most. I'm like, oh yeah, that movie.
There were,
And,
there
yeah,
were
never actually
weasels,
seen
2 on
it.
the ground,
Yeah.
one of his pants. I love that
That's
movie.
it.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. How about you, Josh? You've seen Beastmaster?
No,
But you know,
like Emily, I'm aware of it.
But you know
Yeah.
it. I was like,
I know it. I know of it.
Are we
but
gonna strip
I,
this down like a half point system? Okay. Well, that's 3.
Yeah.
so no. I mean, you've either seen it or you haven't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
mean-
guess that's like an age thing. Like people go, "Oh, this is a great movie." Well, you're not going to watch it now to get your game on, and you. So I get it.
Yeah.
So maybe this entire process is a bit flawed on my part, but we'll try to make this a little bit more modern. Okay. Another great one that came out. Let's more family friendly, not obscure. Because I can go on. There's like Hawk the Slayer, and a bunch of really obscure B movies. You know?
I've seen that.
Oh,
I've seen
sure.
Hawk the Slayer.
You've seen
yeah.
the one on my
Really?
secondary. Jesus. Right.
The most like random, atrocious, and it was rough, bud. HLP turned me on to that. So.
Oh, you can.
yeah.
It's so bad. It's so awesome. One of my old gaming buddies and I used to go on about that. Just like,
Do I get 2 points for that? Like,
yeah, I'll get you a bonus round point. We'll get to that.
Nice.
We'll come to a bonus round. Let's get through this 10.
okay.
Okay, so for the bonus round, Josh, obviously she's already scored a point. How about you?
Hawk the Slayer.
I need to be on
no,
the show
know
with you
of it,
now.
but no.
Can I be
No,
a
I haven't
guest?
seen it.
Can I be a guest on this show? Just
Yeah,
come
yeah.
over. Sorry, movies are my thing. They are the
Yeah.
thing more than music, more like which I love, and more than other things. More than most people are like, oh, comic books. I read all these. No, me it was movies
Mhm.
Yeah.
and actors and stuff. Okay, sorry. So trying to put down the B list, though some would say Highlander fits into that. The Holy Grail, Monty Python.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
is
Yes.
definitely a game table, even though it's a comedy, even though, you know what I mean? It's just definitely
Yeah.
every fantasy nerd has seen it, quoted it, you know. Okay, so
Call me
what I'm
Tim.
losing track here already. What was that, 4?
So that's 6 total.
Oh, okay.
6
And
well,
Emily and
the
I
hang
are
on, hang on.
currently
The-
scored.
The Conan's
at
only
2.5.
count as 1. The Conan's
so
only count as 1.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll give you a point if you've ever seen it. So, right? So there was oh crap. there was the Highlander, but there are 3,
Uh-huh.
but if you've seen any of them, or the original is the one you're supposed to see, right? Kind of get this my scoring here, okay? Either Conan movie, but it counts as the second choice, right? Okay.
Right.
Then I was going to go more family friendly, and we went off on the bonus round for like Hawk the Slayer. Good for you. It's fine. I was going to say Willow. George Lucas produced it was supposed to be more of a fan, right? And they had the actor Warwick Davis, who played the Ewok Wicket, running around as the lead, with Val Kilmer playing Mad Mardigan, right? They even had Lenny and Skinny from Laverne and Shirley playing these tiny little brownie dudes running around. The movie tanked. It was gorgeous, awesome, really good stuff. CGI, monsters, the whole bit. It fell flat at the studio, but it was something that was trying to be a little bit more like, here's, you know, it's not strictly D&D, it's an open-minded, you know.
Yeah.
No across
Again, very aware of it.
the board.
I haven't actually seen it.
So here's the thing. You know, we talked earlier about like memories.
Yeah.
Mine is horrible.
Oh, okay.
There's a good chance that I've seen it. I know of it. I've probably been
Okay.
very drunk and seen it and
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
remember it. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put a 0 or like a
Yeah.
not seen it for me
Yeah.
because I know of it. And if
And
you were
it
to be
does-
like,
that
yeah,
doesn't count,
this
though.
happened, this happened, this
Okay,
happened,
well,
I'd be like,
I-
oh yeah,
I-
of course.
I-
but
Well, if you don't remember it, then because the idea
It doesn't count.
was yeah, there's no pity points here, Josh. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for pity. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like I don't remember it.
Okay, so
I would put a 0.
I'm having too much fun here. I'm losing track. How many has that been? There's been 3 plus a bonus. Did I miss it?
so
Oh, Beastmaster. Sorry,
1, 2.
Beastmaster was
Beastmaster.
3.
Yeah.
So that's technically Willow is 4.
1, 2, 3.
4.
I mean, that's
5.
that's
5.
no Willow was 6, I think.
And then Monty Python.
Right.
Monty
so-
Python was
so-
in there.
Okay, so crap.
Willow is 6.
Willow is 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're currently, Emily and I are both tied at 2.5 points.
Okay. Okay. Another big fantasy movie that, you know, and it's, you know, I'm just going to own it. Any self-respecting gamer, you know, let's move forward a couple decades. Maybe it'll help you guys out. The Harry Potter franchise,
Yeah.
which made
Yes.
nerding
Easily.
and gaming cool in the 90s.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I know, see, I was holding that out. So at least, you know, at least you get
appreciate it.
1 point.
Give me that freebie. That,
It's only 1 point, right? You know?
Yeah.
Get that free space. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's 7. Oh God, I'm just trying to think of something, because like again, I guess this works against me because I've seen so many. Something that every gamer talks about around a table that's not sci-fi, because you got to put aside Star Wars, Blade Runner, all the sci-fi stuff that also come up around a gaming table, but strictly fantasy. There is. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe this will help me remember. Let's switch over to bonus round again. Okay, you knew Beyond Beastmaster, you knew Hawk the Slayer. So Beyond Conan, Red Sonja has Schwarzenegger in it too, though he doesn't play Conan.
Aware of it, have heard of it, know that there are some die-hard fans.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, never seen it.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it?
Oh,
Red Sonja is a comic series that was sort of the opposite of Conan. It was the female hero and kind of led to things like all right. Another big gaming staple is not a movie, it's a television series called Xena, the Warrior Princess.
Yeah.
Yes, Queen. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Every gamer watched the crap out of that. Oh yeah, and bonus round, we'll flip over to what started at Hercules with Kevin Sorbo.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a bonus point. And
So
she's fanning herself. Oh man,
getting the vapors, thinking about Mr. Sorbo.
Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I didn't think Southern people said that. I make
They don't.
like I'm gaming with my wife. She plays Cindy and she does something, and I go, "Oh, you get the vapors," I thought that
They
was.
absolutely do not say that today.
They
No.
oh, is it stereotype?
It's still fun.
It's still hilarious.
You did it really well. You did it very convincingly, Emily. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Okay.
She's not acting though.
No, I know, but it's
This is
just
her.
it's just like she's a bad. It's like, oh my God, Andromeda. He's on Andromeda. I'm doing the vapors. That's one for Josh there. He's turning red because he's a sci-fi guy. He's so hot on Andromeda. Okay. Trying for number 8 here. So I've got 3. What I got? 3 bonus round ones already listed. You guys got like 2. You should just keep you in the bonus round. You're doing so.
Emily
good.
got 2. I've got 0 on the bonus.
You've got 0 on the. Oh,
a lesser
I'm
nerd,
sure you'll
apparently.
smash it in the sci-fi round. Okay. So what are we at here? We're at number 8.
Yeah.
I gotta pull a couple more.
Sure.
Okay, so
I've lost count.
sorry. So there's the 90s, right? Let's try and get a
Yes,
couple more modern ones. 90s Harry Potter comes out, and suddenly television is flooded with all kinds of shows where all right, there's all this
Magic and elves and medieval and I mean,
right. Okay.
I think
so
Lord of the Rings did that.
yeah, I
Did.
would,
Yeah, it certainly helped.
I was saving that, but yeah, Lord of the Rings movies. Any of those?
All of them.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Now, staying within fantasy, but we got to kind of like darken the genre. Interview with a Vampire
Yeah.
Yes.
And the book. Yeah.
with Tom Cruise, and Antonio Banderas does a small part,
Oh my gosh,
and
I
Brad
love it.
Pitt, and
I don't know why I was sitting here thinking Matt LeBlanc. I know it's not him.
no,
Nope.
actually,
But imagine him in an interview with a vampire.
I don't wanna.
just recast it and refilm it,
Yeah.
because that's never been done. Sorry. So did I think? Oh my God, I think we already hit 10. Like there's some big, you're at the gaming table, and of course there's
That's 9.
Vampire the Masquerade, or Lord of the Rings. There's the Harry Potter series. There's the Conan series. There's the Xena television series. There's the Highlander, also TV show. For the bonus round, point get you in the bonus round. Has anyone seen Connor McLeod? Not, no.
No.
Or is it
I'm not sure
Seamus?
what that is.
It was they
Have
did.
not.
Is that Highlander?
They did the Highlander. They took his cousin and they
Oh.
set it in the 80s, 90s, and he was living in New York and trying to deal with, like, obviously it was like pre the first movie where it all ends, but it was like life as a Highlander. I'm cutting. I'm chopping my steak. I'm chopping the bad guy's head. It was good. They had a a relatively good pretty boy for that. With you slap one of those Fabio wigs. That long lacy Legolas hair, you can make anybody look good.
Yeah.
Emily,
I
give me
get
one
it.
of those. You do
Okay,
some
all
cosplay
right.
work. Let me
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
hit me
guys.
up with that.
Oh my!
I got
God.
one for you guys.
Okay.
Legend.
Oh, dude, I was gonna put that in the bonus
Yeah.
round. Tom Cruise, that's epic, and that's definitely in the bonus round. You can have a point for that, Emily. I'll give you 2
That
for
was one
mentioning.
of That was one of the moments in my life that I realized I was a weirdo because I totally had a crush on the devil. So,
Oh yeah.
but that's just
As a good
Tim
Southern
Curry
girl, you
being
had a
Tim
crush on the
Curry.
devil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Tim Curry.
So now, this is kind of borderline because you can call it sci-fi, but I still put it in fantasy world. Okay, as long as we're getting into the bonus round here. Krull. Krull. He had the 5-star glaive that he threw. Magical weapon. It looks like a star. It's got 5 blades coming out of it. He's like a sprint. You've never seen Krull? Like,
so let's.
I know I haven't seen it, but it is
K-R-K, capital K,
Uh-huh.
K-R-U-L-L, Krull. Came out in late 80s.
Okay.
And
So I was born late 80s.
oh, okay.
And
Okay.
to date myself, like I'm not sure. Like I honestly didn't really start, and not that I ignore movies pre-90s by any means, but like being exposed to them as a youth as opposed to, going back and watching them because they were a thing. Like Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies. Came out, I think, 2 years before I was born, maybe. Is that right? Was that 80s or 90s?
Blade Runner is like early 80s and it still holds up as far as I'm concerned. I just sat down with my son and watched the original Dune. It still holds up today. Sting,
for sure.
Sting looks great. Just saying.
Yeah, Blade Runner was 82.
Yeah.
So that was 5 years before I was born, but it's easily one of my favorite movies.
Okay, so
but,
well, there you go. Like I think we've served our purpose here. We've done a solid 10, well known from Python and Harry Potter to obscure to the bonus round obscure of. I got to say, Emily, I'll give you 2 points for pulling Legend out of a hat because that's really good. So can we have unless you guys, I know there's one more. Oh yeah, so Krull. No one's heard of Krull. No points on that. Now there is there's what I should have gone to the internet and just went like obscure
that's cheating. That's cheating.
Old school. Well, for my list, right? So old school.
well,
oh, okay. I got one more. It's an animated feature. It's old and it's a classic that holds up today for the bonus round. The Last Unicorn.
Yes. On the book, on the DVD. I love it.
My wife and I absolutely love 2 characters in this. One is the cat. And the cat gets saucy and is like, I am what I am, Mom, and no cat ever gave a straight answer. He's like this pirate cat with a peg leg, And the best character is he casts a spell or something and he animates a tree. And this tree becomes this great big matron mother, buxom.
Yes, that's the word.
And this tree grabs him and just pulls him into these, we'll call them tree bark knots, suffocating the wizard. And she's like, I love, 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 love. There's no love like a tree's love. Yeah. And I swear I fell off the couch laughing and my wife was in hysterics. We had to stop the movie.
I remember watching that part like as a child and my mother being like, like maybe I shouldn't watch that. I like borderline too much.
I'll just give him a big hug. Just give him a big hug. Just miss him.
Oh yeah, she happens to be well endowed for.
Yeah. So, sorry, I forgot one of the most important that should be in our top 10 lists is Labyrinth.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, David Bowie.
You at this point you're just putting our numbers up. They're staying the same.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which surprisingly, Emily is in the lead by 2 points on me from your list.
Oh, wow.
She's got a 10.5. I've got an 8.5. So
never ending story.
Match made in heaven for the
for the bonus round. Never ending story.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
That was one of those that I remember being at home and like having a fever and watching and hating it because it felt like it literally never ended.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Like it was like it literally was a fever dream for me.
I thought you were gonna say it's one of those classics you watch when you're sick.
It seems random. If I actually scripted this and did something like, okay, Monty Python Holy Grail, and everyone's seen it, right? And then for the bonus round, the more obscure one of my absolute favorites, or 2, is Baron Munchausen and Time Bandits.
Baron Munchausen, yes.
You've never seen Time Bandits? Now that's one you must stop everything and watch today. I'm talking about 7 midgets that work for God and decide, instead of doing their job, they find this map because the universe is a bit of a botched job, you see. God was in a hurry, and there's these gaps in time. They steal the map, and they go hopping through time, stealing from everyone, like Napoleon and the Greeks and all this stuff. And, of course, there's some British kid that gets sucked along with them, like a bad Doctor Who series. And it is one of the best Terry Gilliam from the Python crew. Like, you know, he did films on his own without the crew, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he gets John Cleese to do a completely airhead Robin Hood.
Oh wow!
And
so Emily, is that what we're doing after we build a computer for you tonight?
Oh yeah,
that's. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but
you will not be disappointed.
It's on the list now.
You'll not be disappointed. I mean, the guy that plays Evil in this is you'll recognize the actor from The Voice. I can't remember his name, but like I'm talking about John Cleese doing Robin Hood, and he's completely clueless, and they put him like in like big green, like I'm not talking about like good cosplay studio production. I'm talking about bad homebrew Link felt kind of costume that looks cheap, and his hat's too big and everything, and he's intentionally bad, and he's completely clueless, and there's a scene in it where he's like, they leave and he's like, bye-bye, goodbye, thank you, bye, what awful people. And he just turns around, this kind of thing. He takes all their stuff, and they just happy to get out of there. Yeah, no, it's good. It's got, oh man, so many stars in this. It's one of my favorite movies. I shouldn't have mentioned it. It's one of my absolute favorite movies. 1981, Time Bandits. And Baron Munchausen is damn good. And good funny, but Time Bandits is like one of these best. I must have watched that 100 times. I mean, they had... you can go older, like The Thief of Baghdad. Do you remember the old animatronic, your old man's watching the skeletons fight Sinbad, like the really old animatronic type of thing? I grew up watching that stuff because my dad was sci-fi and fantasy, that kind of thing. I mean, there's creepy stuff now, like Pan's Labyrinth, that kind of thing.
Pan's Labyrinth's fantastic.
Anyway.
That leads something to be said though with computer generated versus practical effects.
Oh, we didn't
healthy combination of the two.
Yeah, we didn't touch on anime, and I'm not talking about like anime subject. I'm talking about like the stuff that Ghibli Studios brought American voice actors, because everyone knows Princess Mononoke.
Yes,
everybody knows that film, and one of my personal favorites, Howl's Moving Castle.
Yes.
So my uncle actually had a voice role in the English dub of that.
Okay.
He was the fishmonger. About 2/3 of the way through the movie, they're in a city, and there's a fishmonger shouting about his fish or something about his catch of the day, and that was my uncle.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I mentioned claymation. What I meant by claymation wasn't Thief of Baghdad, was Jason and the Argonauts, and the original Clash of the Titans had like literally plasticine claymation monsters going on that were absolutely brilliant, and like every gamer has seen those. Secret of Nim.
Yep.
Yes.
Disney, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Made me cry, but it's fun.
Of course, Labyrinth. And there's one more was also talking about something else to be brought in. The most famous wire fu movie was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that came out in 2000. And Hero, like, these were movies that people outside the genre went, what is this? And they checked it out, and it became,
normal.
Yeah, it became, they either went off and watched more, or they're like, well, this film crosses over into nerddom, and they bring
you could argue that The Matrix absolutely did that with like bringing cyberpunk into the general.
Johnny Mnemonic. Do you remember that with Keanu Reeves? Like that's straight up. Sorry, I do agree. Matrix was like everybody goes, oh, like Harry Potter, but goes, oh, but they tested it with Johnny Mnemonic and it didn't do so well. Hellboy, I absolutely love. Geez, I can't remember his name.
Oh my gosh.
What, the guy who played Hellboy?
Yeah. He's got
Perlman.
Ron Perlman has the best voice. No, I absolutely love Weirder Things, and I love the guy that plays the cop. And I haven't watched the Hellboy with him because I'm just with the Hellboy and stuff. And oh my God, we're pushing 2 hours.
Sorry. Sorry.
This happens when you're having fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't even want to edit this. You guys have just been so easy to talk to, and have put up with all my BS and stories or whatever.
Well, Jeff, you know what it sounds like? We should have a round two sometime.
We'll have a round two. Well, that's gonna happen now. I'm just gonna put a stop, and we'll just keep chatting. I've been speaking with Josh Richards, no relation to the Richards of a certain band that's famous, I'm sure, and
None at all, to my
and,
knowledge,
and
at least.
Emily Summerlin from the, I want to say Glass Cannon because I'm looking at the hat, but they are actually
Sorry.
from the Southern Tom Foolery podcast. They play Starfinder. They are good friends, and they haven't been podcasting long, only a couple of years, and they haven't been, what do you call yourselves? Late bloomers. You're not one of these old
Yeah.
farts that
Yeah.
they're going, I've been GMing poorly for 30 years, and I still GM poorly, damn it. Who's Mercer? Matt who? Well, we have Jared
God.
Mercer, an intern. Who's that kind of thing. You watch their videos, and I'm like, I know that. I know. Do I do it? No, I'm terrible. But, I know what he's talking about. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Jeff,
Jeff.
thank
This
you.
is we've had a, what would you say?
ti-
A ball?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Is your name? Nailed it. Yeah, no,
Emily,
thank
I love
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Sorry.
Jeff, thank you for having us, man. It's been an absolute blast, and I'd love to hang out with you again sometime.
Yes.
Not recorded.
Yeah,
And
for real.
before I go cry on my pillow because people are making fun of my last name, I will see you next time on Attack of Opportunity.
Hey, look, my last name is Dix. I'm sure at. So
he just throws it out there.
The last.
if you want that to be like the fade out.
No, I want you to do Mission Impossible where you're going toast, mic check, toast,
Toast. Dix.
toast,
Dix.
toast.
Oh my god.
Dicks.
This has been